Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I've been going through a series of video presentations for the Rankin Technical College AWD Application and Web Development 1111 .NET Framework with Web Databases class. The book we're going to use for the class is ASP.NET MVC with Entity Framework and CSS by Lee Naylor, as you can see on your screen. However, the book, although it's filled with tons of code, doesn't have that much explanation in it, so I've decided to first go through this book, Professional ASP.NET MVC5 by John Galloway of Microsoft and others. That book leans very heavily on a 10-part series by Microsoft that is on the MvcMusicStore. Now, I'm upgrading it to MVC5, but we've already gone through the overview and created the project, controllers, views and view models, models and data access, edit forms and templating, using data annotations for model validation, and very briefly, because it's changed, the membership and authorization. That brings us to part 8 of 10. In part 8, we're going to go over the shopping cart with Ajax updates. Part 9, we'll do the registration and checkout. Part 10, final updates to navigation and site design with a conclusion. So as you can see in here, adding the cart, order, and order detail model classes, managing the shopping cart business logic, view models, shopping cart controller, and Ajax updates with jQuery. So part 8 covers shopping carts with Ajax updates. So as the author says, we will allow users to place albums in their cart without registering. In other words, they'll be able to go in anonymously. However, before they want to buy things, now remember everything is free here, but before they buy things, double quote, buy, double quote, they must register if they're not already registered. The shopping and checkout processes, as it says, will be split up into two controllers. There'll first be a shopping cart controller, already mentioned, to allow you to anonymously add items to a cart, and a checkout controller where you have to be registered to handle the checkout process. We'll start with the shopping cart section, and then later on do the checkout. Okay? So, adding the cart, order, and order detail model classes. Our shopping cart and checkout processes will make use of some new classes. So the first thing we want to do is add a cart class, cart.cs. So we'll put that in just a moment. In fact, first, copy. So we want, again, cart.cs. Close up a bunch of these here. All right. So here's our cart.cs, and now we've added this. Now we're getting an error right now, and the reason we're getting that error right now is because we don't have the data annotations. So if I put my mouse here, boom, system component data annotations, and you can see now it's fine. This class is pretty similar to others we've created so far, with the exception of the key attribute for the record ID property. Now, when you go and you create a class like this that's going to basically be symbolic of a database table, the system expects that either the field that's going to be your primary key is either called just ID or it's the name of the class ID. Well, notice there's a cart ID already, but that's not the primary key. We want the primary key to be record ID, where record's not the name of the class. So we have to specify the word key in front of it. And that's what they talk about here. Next, we're going to add an order.cs class. And one thing to notice about this class, as I grab everything that's in there, notice it says public class order, but I'm going to change that so it's a partial class. All right? And you'll notice a few things about this. Again, as I oftentimes do, I'm splitting this up. But you'll notice as we peruse our way down to the bottom here, we're getting an error. And that error is in order detail. Why? Because we haven't created the order detail class yet. All right? So here's our class order. It is a partial class, which means, as they say in the text here, first I guess they come in and they have us create the order details class. So let's do that. The bottom line is it's a partial class, so it's designed to work in concert with another class to get its work done. So we want order detail. We'll make one last update to our MvcStore entities class, which exposes those new model classes and also a dbset artist class. So what we're adding is this stuff right here. Now, we already had that artist, so I can get rid of this. In fact, let's do it like this. Let's get rid of that one. So now this is not an error any longer. There's different ways that you can write this. You'll notice that previously the author had kind of written it like this, where you can put stuff all on one line. It really doesn't matter one way or the other. But we are adding the got here carts and order details. And again, like I said, it doesn't matter how we label this. We could put it on multiple lines. It really doesn't matter. All right. Okay, so let's save all. So we made quite a few changes already. All right. Next, as it says here, we'll create the shopping cart class in the models folder. We created a cart class, but we have not created the shopping cart class. All right. If you're following along, I'm about on the bottom of page 4. And the author says here, the shopping cart model handles data access to the cart table. Additionally, it will handle the business logic. In this case, the business logic will involve the ability to add and remove items from a shopping cart. Again, we want the user to be able to add items to their cart anonymously, but we will need some way to track who that user is so that eventually, all right, once they're registered or once they log in, we can know who they are. We'll use a GUID or a global unique identifier. We've talked about these before when they access the shopping cart. We'll store this using a session. Now, the author says in a real live place, so if we were let's say we were, our company was rivaling Amazon, we wouldn't probably want to use a session. Because as it says, on larger sites, using the session state can have performance issues. So this shopping cart class, notice all of the different methods it's going to have in it. 8 if I counted right. Add to cart, takes an album and adds it to the user's cart. It includes logic to create a new row if needed, or just increment. So if I was grabbing the best of sticks, and I decided I wanted 2 of them, and I already had it in the cart, it would change the quantity from 1 to 2. If it was not previously in the cart, it would add it. Remove from cart, grabs the album ID and removes it from the cart. If there's only 1 copy of the album in the cart, the row is removed. Empty cart removes everything at one time. Get cart items retrieves the list of cart items for display or for processing. So if somebody wants to see what's currently in their cart, cool. All right. Or if they want to process it in some way, maybe, it's time to check out. Get count gives you a number of the total number of albums in the shopping cart. Get total is the total cost of everything. Again, remember our stuff is free. Create order converts the shopping cart to an order during the checkout phase. Get cart is a static method that allows the controller to obtain a cart object. Uses get cart ID to handle the reading of the cart ID from the user's session. So here's the code. All right, for the shopping cart class. Now, do I have a shopping cart class? I don't know. I don't see one here. So I'm going to right mouse click, add a class. That class will be called shopping cart. There it is. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm literally, again, as I have been doing, I'm going to just copy in all the logic, or all the code, and then we'll talk about it in just a couple minutes. This is a boatload of code. That was good, Jeff. All right, let's go back and do it this way. I will, after public class shopping cart, I'm going to highlight, highlight starting right here, hold down on shift, go way down to the bottom here, and it looks like it'll end there. Copy that to the clipboard, add it right here. Right now showing me this, which might mean I have a using that I've got to add, but we'll see as we go on. Yep. All right. Notice it's 100, the whole routine is 180 lines, so it constitutes or takes up the bottom of page 5, all of page 6, all of page 7, all of page 8, all of page 9. All right. Now the good thing is, at least in some places, as you can see here, there are comments. So let's take a look at least at the comments that are here. All right, there's our new music store entities. Okay, there's our shopping cart ID get set. There's a constant string that says cart ID. Here's our get cart, which will get us a new shopping cart. All right, this will basically, it looks like, be able to store that ID for us. Here's a helper method, which, as it says, is used to simplify shopping cart calls. Add to cart, which does just that, adds an item to a cart. If the cart was null, it must create a new shopping cart. If it's not, all right, the cart already exists. So remember, we're keeping track of how many items are in the cart. So if it already exists, we just add 1. Otherwise, it's brand new, so we set count equal to 1. If we remove the item from the cart, as it says here, we have to first get a cart. Okay, set the item count to 0. Originally, if the count is still great, if the count's greater than 1, we want to remove it. So there's more than one item, we just want to remove that one item. Otherwise, we want to remove that. That is removing literally the row, as we talked about before. This is emptying out everything, so it's making its way, perusing its way through, and it's removing all items that are in the cart. This is going to list all the items that are in the cart. This is going to get a count of how many items are in the cart. Notice we're setting this up with a question mark, meaning that it's totally legit that at the beginning there's nothing in the cart, so that could be null. All right. Return 0 if there isn't anything in the cart. That's what this says. All right, get total, multiply the album price by the cost, so if I've got 3 albums at $8.99 and 2 at $7.99, that would be 3 times $8.99 plus 2 times $7.99, that kind of an idea. That's what we're doing here. Return the total if there is one, otherwise return 0 if it's an empty cart. This is the create order. As it says, what we want to do here is basically figure out how much we owe. Set the order total for the shopping cart. Find out how many items are in there. Now this is also, just so you know, this is something that could be used later. I know back in the day when there were record companies, and there's one in particular, I can't even remember what it was, Columbia House, I think. Maybe if you order 10 or more albums, you get a price break type of an idea. All right, just as an example. So we're getting the cart ID, generating it if necessary here. When the user has logged in, it says right here, migrate their shopping cart to be associated with their username, which makes sense. So now they're not an anonymous user anymore, that kind of an idea. All right, so that was not big, but I went over it a little bit. I'm at almost 20 minutes, so we're just about ready to break for right now. In fact, we're going to go into view models next, which is on the top of page 10, so I will stop right here and pick this up in part 2.